All right, let's talk about something that most of us feel but can rarely actually see. Boundaries. That invisible force that kind of shapes all of our relationships and, honestly, our energy levels. So, what are they really? Why do they have so much power over our lives? And more importantly, how do we start using them? Let's dive in and find out.
Okay, so let's just start right here. I want you to take a second and really think about this. Where in your life do you feel drained or maybe taken for granted? Is it a thing at work, a dynamic with a family member, maybe a friend? You know that feeling, right? That sense of being stretched way too thin or just unappreciated. Well, that is almost always a signal. It's a little alarm bell telling you that an invisible line, a boundary, has either been crossed or maybe it was never there to begin with.
And right away, we have to clear up a huge misconception here. Because when most people hear the word boundaries, they immediately think of these big, aggressive walls, right? Stuff meant to keep people out. But that's not what we're talking about at all. A much better way to think about them is as invisible lines. They're these subtle, clear guides that are there to protect you and your well-being, not to push other people away. All right, first up, what boundaries really are. And the subtitle says it all. They are the rules of engagement for yourself. Because at their core, that's what they are. Rules you set for yourself.
So, if we have to put a definition on it, here it is. A boundary is an invisible line that helps you protect three of your most crucial resources. And what are they? Your energy, your time, and your self-worth. I mean, think about it. It's a tool for self-preservation. It's not a weapon to use against other people. And this right here is the fundamental shift in thinking you have to make. See, boundaries aren't rules you try to force onto other people. No. They are decisions you make for yourself about what you will and won't allow in your life. And what's so fascinating, what's so powerful, is how these internal decisions have a direct external effect. They quietly teach the world how to treat you.
Okay, so that brings us to our next section, the psychology of self-respect. Or, in other words, how your brain responds to boundaries. So, how does this actually work on a psychological level? What's going on inside our heads? Well, it really comes down to this core idea from social psychology called mirroring. It's super simple, really. As human beings, we are just wired to pick up on all these subconscious cues from other people. And one of the biggest things we do is we instinctively mirror how people see themselves. So get this. The level of respect you show for yourself, that literally sets the baseline for how others are going to respect you. So for example, if you hold this internal belief, this quiet confidence that says, I respect my time, you don't even have to say it out loud. People pick up on it. It comes through in your body language and your tone of voice and whether you hesitate or not. But if you're always available, always the person saying yes to everything, you're subconsciously communicating the exact opposite. And guess what? People will mirror that right back at you. And this isn't just some fuzzy mindset stuff either. This is neurological. It's actual brain science. The concept is called assertive conditioning. And what it means is that every single time you practice saying no or you hold a boundary, you are physically strengthening the neural pathways for confidence and self-protection in your brain. It's a skill. You can literally train it just like you train a muscle at the gym. Which, of course, brings us to the flip side. Let's talk about the hidden cost of yes. What you pay when you don't set boundaries. What happens when we don't build that muscle? What's the real price we pay for living without these lines? And let me tell you, the costs are steep. They are real. You pay with your time and your energy, which are both finite resources, right? You pay with your self-respect, which just slowly, quietly erodes with every single yes that you didn't really mean. You even pay with your own identity, because if you're always accommodating everyone else, nobody ever gets to meet the real you. And ultimately, you pay the highest price of all, your peace. There's actually a name for this in psychology. It's called role fatigue. And it's that very specific kind of burnout you get from trying to be everything to everyone. It's what creates that silent resentment, that heavy, almost corrosive weight you end up carrying around. And what it does is it completely disconnects you from what you actually need. So why does this happen? Well, it really just boils down to a super basic principle of human psychology, and it applies to everything, not just this. Check out this chart. Anything we oversupply, like our time and energy, it just starts to lose its perceived value. Think about it. If their time is always available, if your energy is an endless well for others, people might unconsciously start to devalue it. It's not that they're being malicious, it's just human nature. A guarded resource is always perceived as more valuable. Okay, so that's the what and the why. Now for the most important part. how to build your lines. This is our practical step-by-step guide. How do we actually start guarding those resources? Let's get into it. Look, it really starts with 4 pretty simple steps. Number 1, just notice your feelings. That little flash of irritation you get, or that feeling of resentment building up, that's your signal, that's your cue. Number 2, start small. You don't have to have some big dramatic confrontation. Just try a micro boundary, something tiny, like waiting an hour to answer a non-urgent text. Number 3, communicate calmly. You don't need a big speech, just simple, brief, neutral language. And finally, number 4, and this is crucial, be consistent. Repetition is what does the heavy lifting. It's what rewires your brain and teaches other people, okay, this is the new reality. And hey, if you need a place to start, just remember this one powerful phrase. That doesn't work for me. That's it. It's a complete sentence. You don't have to justify it, you don't have to apologize for it or over-explain. Brevity has its own authority. It is such a simple, neutral, and unbelievably effective way to hold your line. Okay, and that brings us to our final section, and honestly, the most important takeaway of all of this. It's about your yes to yourself. I really want you to let this sink in, because this changes everything. Setting a boundary is not fundamentally about negation. It's not about saying no. The truth is, every single time you say a quiet no to others, you are simultaneously saying a loud, clear yes to yourself. A yes to your well-being, a yes to your priorities, and a yes to your own peace.
So when you look at it that way, you see that boundaries aren't about building fortresses to keep the world out. Not at all. It's really about self-alignment. It's not about pushing people away. It's about drawing yourself closer, closer to the life you actually deserve, a life that feels authentic, respected, and truly, truly yours.
Which really just leaves us with one final question to think about. And look, don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. Just think about this. What is one small, just one single boundary that you can honor for yourself this week?